Vanda grew up in a family having a great childhood with her brother and parents, but her experiences in school were different.
I struggled a lot in school with bullying and fitting in because I always felt like I just can't belong to one group, and I would always try to find my place. So I often got bullied for my appearance or for the grades that I got or my relationship with the teacher.
During her teenage years, as she began to face challenges in her relationships, Vanda began to act differently.
I think just that experience of being bullied a lot and not being able to fit in and having a really bad relationship with my parents and just times being rough, I built a lot of walls and started wearing different masks and facades so that I would be able to present myself as someone who was really strong and really confident and really happy. But the reality was just not that. It was almost the exact opposite.
She tried to hide behind masks to keep herself safe, but this strategy wasn't truly successful.
I found that these techniques or sort of facades worked for a while, but they really didn't make me happier and they really didn't solve the problem, but rather masked it and made it even worse on the long run.
Vanda began to go out with her friends, drinking and smoking. It seemed like she had finally found her place, but she soon realized that even these things couldn't relieve the pain she was carrying within.
Right at that moment when I was partying, when I was doing all that stuff at the age of 15 to about 17, 18, things seemed a bit better because I felt like I was part of a group, I was part of something bigger than myself, and it made me feel really good and it made me feel a bit special. And I didn't have those issues that I was facing in primary school when I was bullied a lot, but when I was going out with my friends, I was actually part of their group and I was popular, and that really made me feel like I was somebody.
While friendships played an important role in her life at the time, she was also continuously looking for something greater than us. As a young girl, she heard about the gospel, but she was more interested in Eastern philosophy.
My personal idea about God or this higher entity was the universe, and I was thinking in energies and all that stuff.
A few years later, in 2014, an event changed her life.
One of my Christian friends from my class invited me to this charismatic Christian event. I think I just sat through the event quite bored, to be honest, because I could not really relate with anything that was said until the very end, when this lady was sharing her testimony, and she came from a religious family, and I think she was just talking about how she had to make the decision to follow and love Jesus. And I remember when she was talking about that, I just felt this overwhelming power and overwhelming love that I had never felt before in my life. And I think I mentioned that I was just not someone who would show her emotions. And at that moment, I remember that tears were running down my face and I started sobbing, and I could not understand why nor what was going on. And I remember my friends sitting to my left and they were just all looking at me like, what's going on with her? Is she actually crying? And after that event, I think for about 2 weeks, I was just in this elevated, fulfilled, happy and peaceful place that I had never been before either. And I remember my family and my closer friends just didn't understand what was going on with me or what happened, because when I told them that I went to this event and then I had that encounter, they did not really see how that would fit with the personality or the character that I had at the time. And then they could definitely see that something was going on.
Just a few weeks after the encounter, she began to drift away from God and continued to live her old life. 2 years later, when Vanda moved to another country, she decided to turn back to God and started attending the local church. But when life became hard, she stopped going.
At the end of 2016, I had a really, really difficult time in my life because I just gone through a heartbreak, and things were piling up because of work and school and trying to manage my social life and trying to live in this new country and speaking a new language. And I really hit rock bottom. I stopped going to church because every time I would go, I just felt like I didn't deserve to be there. I was not worthy of God's holy presence. I realized after a couple of months of living that way that it was just not the right way anymore, because I think once you experience the presence of God, it leaves a mark on you.
Coming back to God wasn't easy for her, but she was determined to change her life, and the chains that tried to hold her back slowly began to disappear.
Even though all the people were so amazing and we had such a great community, I just felt like an outsider for some reason. So I decided I need to start doing something useful in my life and with my service. So I joined the team in church, and that was making coffees, and I really enjoyed that. And I think that just gave me this initial kick to feel part of this community and feel part of this church.
Vanda believes that people can turn back to the living God, who welcomes them back at any time.
It's the same way as in the Bible, the father welcomed his prodigal son back. That's the same way God will welcome you back. And that's something I experienced myself, because I never felt condemned for leaving. I never felt condemned for sinning over that time. But God welcomed me back with an open arms and just so much love. And this is why I'm here today, and this is why I say I'm a Christian.